We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives a grand welcome in Muscat to hold high-level talks with Sultan Haitham bin Tariq to strengthen bilateral ties. Brazil's legislature approves bill to reduce former President Bolsonaro's prison sentence for coup plotting. Zelenskyy pleads for more aid as Ukraine claims Russia wants to drag conflict into next year. Putin warns Russia will expand territory if peace talks fail. UN calls for restraint between US and Venezuela amid rising tensions following a phone call between Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Venezuelan President. Oscars to stream exclusively on YouTube after a 100-year-long deal with ABC ends in 2029. And dense fog disrupts normal life in several Indian states as weather conditions force cancellation of flights. Met Department issues dense fog, cold wave and snowfall warnings across states. And on to the details. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Muscat on Wednesday for a two-day official visit on the last leg of his three-nation tour. The visit is of special significance as it marks the 70th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Oman. The leaders aim to bolster the strategic partnership in trade, investment, energy, defense and people-to-people ties. Prime Minister Modi was received at the airport by Oman's Deputy Prime Minister for Defence Affairs, Syed Shihab bin Tariq bin Taimur Al Said, and was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the airport. They had a great interaction, exchanging perspectives on India-Oman friendship. In a post on X, the Prime Minister said that Oman is a land of enduring friendship and deep historical connections with India. This visit offers an opportunity to explore new avenues of collaboration and add fresh momentum to our partnership. And on the last leg of his three-nation visit, Prime Minister Modi is to attend Business Forum in Muscat today. He'll interact with students and select community members. Prime Minister Modi will also hold bilateral meeting with His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, Sultan of Oman. He will also hold tete-a-tete with His Majesty. The Prime Minister's Oman visit will end with a private luncheon hosted by Oman's Sultan. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Oman. Oman's Deputy Prime Minister for Defence Affairs, Syed Shihab bin Tariq Al Said, hosted a dinner in honour of the Prime Minister on Wednesday. Also, the dinner banquet is being held in Muscat and was attended by other dignitaries. This is the second visit of Prime Minister Modi to Oman. India and Oman share an all-encompassing strategic partnership underpinned by centuries-old bonds of friendship, trade, linkages and strong people-to-people ties. Now, the visit marks 70 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries and follows the state visit of the Sultan of Oman to India in December 2023. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi was accorded a warm welcome upon his arrival at the hotel in Muscat. He witnessed a traditional Omani welcome cultural performance. Now, India's vibrant cultural diversity was on full display. A special Gujarati song and a Ghumar dance performance was also presented. Members of the Indian community took the lead in showcasing a blend of classical dances such as Kuchipudi, Mohiniyattam, Bharatnatyam and Kathakali. Prime Minister also witnessed Yakshagan, a display of traditional Indian theatre dance performance. A special Bollywood dance performance was also presented, showcasing the harmony of India's diverse religions and cultures. And for more on Prime Minister's visit to Oman, we are joined by my colleague, DD India's Gautam Roy in Oman. Well, Gautam, what does day 2 of Prime Minister's Oman visit look like?
Well, Prime Minister Modi has a very packed day today. It starts with a business forum meeting, and then even the Indian diaspora, the community here in Oman, finds a special place there. There's a convention center in Muscat, the Oman Convention and Exhibition Center, where there will be a large number of people from the 75,000 strong Indian diaspora, and a special interaction with school children here in Oman as well. 22 Indian schools here in Oman affiliated to one of the Indian boards, the biggest one, the Central Board of Secondary Education. About 700 students will have a special interaction with him as well. And then the business end as well, with the bilaterals taking place at the Baraka Palace, which is where the Sultan, Haitham bin Tariq, stays, and he'll welcome the Prime Minister there. The tete-a-tete will take place. There will be delegation-level talks, and then they will also witness the exchange or the signing of the CEPA, which is the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. It's already been announced by both the sides, because we had yesterday the Commerce and Industry Minister of India and his Omani counterpart very clearly saying that they have completed all the work, and just the dotted line remains to be signed. And the potential there is tremendous for growing business ties between India and Oman, trade, investment, as well as movement of people. Right now, of course, the trade is at $10.6 million if you look at the last financial year, but already in the current financial year, it has already seen a massive spike. And with this trade deal, or the CEPA, which will take place, trade can more than double in about 5 years. That's the kind of estimate that's been drawn. So people looking forward to that happening as well. And then a luncheon banquet will also be hosted by the Sultan. And after that, the Prime Minister will be departing with, of course, having ticked off an extremely successful visit here in Oman.
All right. Also, Gautam, how was Prime Minister's reception by the Indian diaspora at the time of his arrival yesterday?
Well, day 1, of course, was dedicated to the arrival and the rousing reception that Prime Minister Modi got here in Muscat. The Indian diaspora was present in full strength here with full colors as well. Not only were they dressed in their festive best, there were performances also lined up. Omani element there as well, with drums and bagpipes. The first to welcome Prime Minister Modi at his place of stay, followed by Rajasthani Ghumar, then Indian classical dances. There was other elements to it as well, including a Gujarati song too, and a display of paintings by the ladies here in the Indian diaspora, again displaying the kind of connection, the millennia, 5,000-year-old connection that India has with Oman, from Manvi to Muscat. It was depicted in paintings, and a lot of people of the Indian diaspora extremely well, they were overwhelmed with the kind of exchange that they had with Prime Minister, some greetings exchanged. There was a lot of sloganeering, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, and of course chanting the Prime Minister's name, Modi. Modi was also its par for course when Prime Minister Modi travels abroad, where Indian diaspora is present in almost every corner of the world. So it was quite a heartening sight to see. And we'll see perhaps more of that today at this convention center as well, where a community event is slated to take place. And again, that will be a display of the strong connection that India and Oman have and the way that they're further strengthening it with Prime Minister Modi's second visit to this Gulf nation.
All right. Thank you so much, Gautam, for all that update from Oman. And moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has successfully concluded his maiden visit to Ethiopia, marking a significant boost in bilateral relations. The two countries witnessed an elevation of ties, focusing on strategic partnership. In an exclusive conversation with India's correspondent Deepika, Ethiopia's Minister of Women and Social Affairs thanked Prime Minister Modi for increased assistance to Mahatma Gandhi Hospital and highlighted his historic address to the Ethiopian Parliament. Take a listen.
Hello and welcome to this special segment. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded a very successful maiden visit to Ethiopia, and right now we have with us Dr. Ergogay Tesfaye, who's the Minister for Women and Social Affairs. Thank you so much, Dr. Ergogay, for joining us and having an exclusive conversation with us.
Thank you for having me.
You were there with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his entire maiden tour to Ethiopia. What do you think, how the relationship is going to take a multifold stage from here? It's going to become even more better and strong and bolder after this particular visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Ethiopia.
Now, first of all, we are so delighted to have His Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And we are happy. It is really a great honor and pleasure to Ethiopia to have him here, and we are so excited by his visit. And it's known that Ethiopia and India have a great relationship. Our relationship or bilateral ties is, ties are a long-standing bilateral relationship and ties that we have. It is even beyond the diplomatic ties that we have. It is people-to-people relationship. During long back in previous time, people were communicating each other through trade, and that also helps us to have people-to-people relationship. And we have also a long-standing bilateral relationship, but His Excellency's visit also elevate, the relationship that we have to a strategic partnership. So it means a lot for us. It will help us to advance the development partnership that we have, and it will also strengthen our partnership accordingly.
You've mentioned a very important point that Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized during his visit to Ethiopia, and he said that from this stage we are going to elevate the relationship between India and Ethiopia into strategic ties. How do you think that can be done?
It can be done in so many ways. For instance, we had a relationship and partnership in different development aspects, for instance, in education, agriculture, health, and technology as well. But being a strategic partnership will help us to implement in a way that this collaboration will take us to the further level. When I say this one, the South-South cooperation could be also strengthened, and also the development issues that we have started already will be also effective properly through different programs. For instance, if we take technology, we can learn a lot from India. India is advanced by technology. In technology areas, for instance, the AI issues and all that, There have been capacity building trainings which have been provided for Ethiopians that will be enhanced, and also in agriculture. There are technologies, agricultural equipments that would enhance productivity, and from production to also market, the whole value chain. There are big lessons that we can take from India. So this strategic partnership will enhance the already existing bilateral relationship, and also will advance the whole development activities and programs that we have together. And it's not only, in the development area that this collaboration or strategic partnership will help us. It is also about, strengthening the collaboration and also relationship between the two people. We share the same culture. We are a communal society. We are also rich in history. So this kind of partnership or strategic partnership will help in enhancing also people to people and government to government collaboration and partnership.
Dr. Urgoge, you're the Minister of Women and Social Affairs, and in the key outcome document that came out, there was a special mention that Gandhi Memorial Hospital will also receive special assistance, and especially for maternity patients and neonatal services as well. How do you look at these developments? How important it becomes for Ethiopia specifically?
Thank you. It is really a wonderful and a great support for Ethiopian mothers and children that we have Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Hospital. As Minister of Women and Social Affairs, we work relentlessly for the betterment of women and children in Ethiopia. And we closely work with Ministry of Health, and our health policy is not only focusing on prevention, but it's also working on treatment and cure. So we are so delighted that this memorial hospital has been just giving tremendous services for Ethiopian women and children. That significantly also contributes to the decline of mothers or children mortality. So we are so thankful for that great support, but also we look into enhancing the services in the hospital. I know that the medical services in India is advanced. It's more technology oriented one, and it's also supported by digital systems. So here the services which are available in Mahatma Gandhi Hospital could be also enhanced with the strategic partnership that we have now in a way of availing different medicines or availing also equipment, necessary equipment to lower maternal and child mortality. So in such a way, we look forward also a great support from Indian government in order to equip and advancing the services which have been also given in the hospital. That is a landmark for us. That's how we also interpret partnership. And also that is the way how we can also contribute to the benefit of the society. So it is a great support, and we look forward also to strengthen our partnership in such a way.
During his tour to Ethiopia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited several places, and especially a special gesture by Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, driving Prime Minister Narendra Modi from the airport to the Science Museum and then the Friendship Square and then the various bilaterals we had. You were there accompanying the Prime Minister across the two-day tour of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tell us about any of the special moment or any of the special memory that you now have, you will always cherish of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the entire Indian delegation visiting Ethiopia.
I'm very much delighted, honestly, and feel honored to receive His Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi, starting from the airport, his arrival at the airport, and throughout his visit it's a great honor for me and a great pleasure as well. As a former student in ICCR in India, I get that privilege of meeting him, His Excellency, and also had a chance to talk in person with him. And I'm very much happy that his stay was a wonderful one. I get to know that he's happy with the visit. And the whole discussion, the bilateral discussion that His Excellency had with Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy was also a very fruitful one. And I'm very much delighted to hear that educational access to Ethiopian students in India, the ICCR scholarship quota is doubled. And I'm very much happy that His Excellency also mentioned that digitalization and also working in the area of agriculture to enhance the development of Ethiopia is also a very exciting news for me and for the whole nation. And also I had a chance to accompany His Excellency while he's visiting Adwa Memorial Place. That Adwa monument is all about to commemorate a victory of Adwa that we just have over the colonization. So it is not only the victory of Ethiopia, but it is a victory over colonization for the whole world. And I'm happy when His Excellency knows about the history of Adwa and how Indians also contributed in defeating colonization. That was a great moment. And I was so happy looking at how His Excellency was happy hearing how history also ties us. It's not only this bilateral relationship that we have, but the blood of Indians was sacrificed for the freedom and victory of Ethiopia. So that was also an exciting moment. And the speech that he made this morning in Parliament as a member of Parliament, also I'm very much delighted. And the words, the message that he conveyed for all honorable members of the two parliaments is really commendable. And I would love to really thank you and appreciate His Excellency taking his time and visiting Ethiopia in a very short time after the invitation of His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy. And I had a moment also to talk about the programs that has been run here in my ministry by the support of the government of India. It is all about social registry system. So I have seen how social protection system is very sustainable one in India. So I was having that intention in my mind, bringing the experience to Ethiopia. So it is through the government of India that now the whole social registry system is being implemented in Ethiopia. And I had also a chance to inform His Excellency about a big program that we have for women in rural area, especially focusing on economic empowerment of women. The program is called Women in Agriculture Program. And we are having a communication with concerned bodies in India to support this program. And I'm very much happy that I got a chance to inform these all initiatives which have been really contributed by the Indian government to Ethiopia through my ministry.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Argogi, for talking exclusively to us, sharing your experience about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit and the future plans as well, because this is not the ending, but rather the beginning. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi also mentioned in the Parliament, that Ethiopia is known for its beginning when we talk about it. And from here onwards, India and Ethiopia are all set for a renewed partnership, strategic ties, as we call it. With camera person Shubham and Lalit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Ethiopia.
And some updates on winter session of Indian Parliament now. Apart from other legislative business, the lower house of the Parliament will take the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Grameen for further consideration and passing on Thursday. Earlier on Wednesday, the lower house took up discussion on BGG Ramji bill with MPs sitting till midnight to express their views. Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who had earlier introduced the bill, moved it for consideration and passing. Upper House will take the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India Bill 2025 for consideration and passing. The bill aimed at promoting the safe and regulated use of nuclear energy was passed by the lower house on Wednesday. And for more on the Parliament today, we have Dibyendu Mondal joining us. Well, Dibyendu, what all is lined up for today, since this is the last week for the winter session?
Well, Lipakshi, one of the most crucial part of course, this week of winter session would be the discussion under Rule 193, which is a short discussion on air pollution. A notice has already been given to the Speaker by Priyanka Gandhi and of the Congress, as well as Kanimori of the DMK. They had given the short notice, in fact, this notice under which a discussion on air pollution would be taken up in the Lok Sabha. And, since, remember, the rising pollution has been a cause of concern for all residents of Delhi NCR, and therefore it is expected on the BJP side, the New Delhi MP Basudeb Swaraj would be part of the discussion. And under Rule 93, the short discussion takes place, and after which, the minister, the concerned minister, in this case, the Environment Minister, will give a short reply to the Lok Sabha. And it is, of course, a very, very short discussion, and it is a discussion that takes place on matters of public importance. So this is what is, important in the lower house that is going to take place post noon. And in the upper house, the nuclear energy bill, which, will increase the harnessing of the nuclear power of India for generating more electricity. This will give, this will make India more energy efficient, as well as give, in fact, it will also increase the capacity of nuclear power generation in India, especially with regards to the Kudaikulam nuclear power plant in Tamil Nadu. And it will also give, the government more opportunities to harness nuclear energies for the good and for the betterment of the country. So this is what is lined up as far as both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha is concerned, Lipakshi.
All right, Dibyendu, thank you so much for that detailed update about today. And moving on, India's Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw on Wednesday highlighted the role of Kavach in enhancing railway safety, saying it not only acts as a protective shield for the trains, but also safeguards loco pilots and their families. Now, speaking in the lower house of the Parliament, the minister underscored the government's commitment to prioritizing the well-being of railway personnel through advanced safety systems.
Kavach is a complex system which has five major systems within. Optical fiber cable has to be laid all along the tracks. That is the first part. Second is telecom towers have to be laid at every 5 to 6 kilometers or sometimes 5 to 7 kilometers, depending upon the radio frequency availability. That is the second system. Third is at every station, a small data center, edge data center has to be installed. Fourth is trackside equipment has to be installed. Fifth is all the locomotives have to be equipped with Kavach. That is the way the complex Kavach system has to be implemented.
And now moving on to some weather updates from parts of India. Dense fog across many parts of India is disrupting daily life and economic activity. Poor visibility has led to delays and cancellation of flights and trains, slower road traffic, especially in the northern states across the nation. In Uttar Pradesh, schools up to class 8th to remain shut for 3 days as dense fog blankets Bareilly. The Meteorological Department has issued an orange alert for dense fog for the next 3 days. Indigo Advisory on X said due to dense fog in Chandigarh, visibility has reduced drastically, impacting flight operations. As a precaution, some flights have been cancelled through the day to prioritize safety and help minimize extended waiting at the airport. Air India also cautioned passengers about potential disruptions to flight operations over the next few days due to dense fog, particularly at its primary hub in Delhi. Now, from today onwards, vehicles without a valid pollution under control certificate will be barred from purchasing fuel in Delhi as part of GRAP 4 measures. And India and Saudi Arabia signed key agreement to boost official travels and bilateral exchanges on Wednesday. Indian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Suhail Ajaz Khan, and Abdul Majid bin Rashid Al Smari, Deputy Minister for Protocol Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Saudi Arabia, signed the bilateral visa waiver agreement. Now, the move aims to facilitate the movement under the India-Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council. And still to come on DD India Newshour. U.S. admits liability in deadly mid-air collision near Washington that killed 67. Sydney mourns the rabbis killed in Bondi Hanukkah shooting. Premier calls for tougher gun laws. And Gingerbread Lane returns to New York with 755 cookie creations celebrating the city's diversity.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives a grand welcome in Muscat to hold high-level talks with Sultan Haitham bin Tariq to strengthen bilateral ties. Brazil's legislature approves a bill to reduce former President Bolsonaro's prison sentence for coup plotting. Zelenskyy pleads for more aid as Ukraine claims Russia wants to drag the conflict into next year. Putin warns Russia will expand territory if peace talks fail. UN calls for restraint between US and Venezuela amid rising tensions following a phone call between Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Venezuelan President. Oscars to stream exclusively on YouTube after a 100 years long deal with ABC ends in 2029. And moving on, Brazil's Senate approved a bill on Wednesday to shorten the 27-year prison sentence of former President Jair Bolsonaro, although it is likely to face resistance from the Supreme Court and President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Now, the bill was approved by the lower house last week and now goes to Lula, who has not said whether he will sign it into law and veto it. It could cut the former president's prison term to just over 2 years. The text also establishes sentence reductions for those convicted for their roles in a January 2023 riot, opens new tab when Bolsonaro supporters invaded and ransacked the presidential palace, Supreme Court and Congress. Well, the bill was amended during an earlier vote on Wednesday in a Senate committee to make it clear that sentence reductions will only apply to those involved in acts related to the attempted coup and not to other crimes. Last month, Bolsonaro began serving his sentence for plotting a coup against Lula after losing the 2022 election. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy called on allies on Wednesday to secure support for Kyiv and show Russia that continuing the conflict is pointless. Now, speaking in a video address released ahead of a crucial European Union summit on Moscow's frozen assets, Zelenskyy said the meetings should deliver an outcome for Europe that makes Russia see continuing the war next year as pointless. Now, leaders of the European Union will meet in Brussels on Thursday to further discuss the use of frozen Russian assets to finance Ukraine. Now, Zelenskyy will also attend the European Union's Council on Thursday in Brussels in person. Early on Wednesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow would take more land in Ukraine by force if Kyiv and European politicians did not engage over U.S. proposals for a peace settlement. And the U.S. Senate voted overwhelmingly on Wednesday to advance a $901 billion bill setting policy for the Pentagon, sending the massive piece of legislation to the White House. Now, the National Defense Bill sets annual policy for the Department of Defense and has become law for more than 60 consecutive years. This bill has also passed the U.S. House of Representatives and now heads to the President Trump's desk to be signed into a law. The Senate backed the bill by 77 to 20 with strong support from both the parties. Two of the no votes were from Republican Senators Mike Lee and Rand Paul. The House passed the bill last week by 312 to 112, also with broad bipartisan support. Also, the National Defense Authorization Act authorizes a record $901 billion in annual military spending, with a 4% pay raise for the troops. It also authorizes reforms to the system for acquiring military equipment and includes efforts to boost competitiveness with U.S. arch rivals China and Russia. Now, the fiscal 2026 NDAA provides $800 million for Ukraine, $400 million in each of the next 2 years as part of the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, which pays U.S. companies for weapons for Ukraine's military. It also authorizes the Baltic Security Initiative and provides $175 million to support Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia's defense. And it limits the Department of Defense's ability to drop the number of U.S. forces in Europe to fewer than 76,000 and bars the U.S. European commander from giving up the title of NATO Supreme Commander. And moving on, the U.S. government admitted it was liable for a deadly mid-air collision between a military helicopter and a passenger jet outside Washington earlier this year, killing 67 people. The 209-page filing by the U.S. Department of Justice was part of a civil lawsuit by one of the passengers killed on the jet against the U.S. government and the commercial airlines operating the plane. The document begins, and I quote, "The United States admits that it owed a duty of care to plaintiffs, which it breached, thereby proximately causing the tragic accident," unquote. Also, the crash occurred on January 29th when an American Eagle airliner from Wichita, Kansas was approaching the landing strip at Ronald Reagan National Airport. The disaster marked the deadliest crash of a U.S. commercial flight in decades and prompted tighter air safety protocols at Reagan Airport. The court filing also cited improper actions by an air traffic controller at the airport, saying they did not comply with federal regulations. And hundreds of mourners gathered in Sydney to remember two rabbis and other victims of the tragic Hanukkah festival shooting at Bondi Beach. Now, they were remembered as kind and curious individuals who will be deeply missed by their friends, family and the local community. The funeral of 10-year-old Matilda Britwin, the youngest victim of the attack, also took place, highlighting the scale of the tragedy. Rabbi Eli Skalanga's funeral drew an overwhelming crowd at a Bondi synagogue, while Rabbi Yaakov Levitan was laid to rest late in the day in Macquarie Park in Sydney's northwest. 15 people were killed in the Hanukkah festival shooting spree in Sydney's Bondi Beach on Sunday in an attack allegedly carried out by father and son, which was one of Australia's worst mass shootings. And the U.S. Congress on Wednesday permanently ended sanctions imposed on Syria under ousted leader Bashar al-Assad, paving the way for the return of investment to the war-ravaged nation. President Donald Trump had earlier twice suspended the implementation of sanctions in response to pleas from Saudi Arabia and Turkey, allies of the new government headed by former jihadist Ahmed al-Sharaa. But Sharaa had sought a permanent end to the sanctions, fearing that so long as the measures remained in the books, they would deter businesses wary of legal risk in the world's largest economy. The Senate passed the repeal of the 2019 CISA Act as part of a sweeping annual defense package. The Senate voted 77-20 in favor of the legislation, which was already approved by the House of Representatives and is expected to be signed by Trump. And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for restraint and the immediate de-escalation of tensions between United States and Venezuela. Guterres on Thursday received a phone call from Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro Moros, wherein the former called for restraint. During the call, the Secretary General reaffirmed the United Nations position on the need for member states to respect international law, particularly the United Nations Charter. Maduro said that U.S. President Donald Trump revealed his true motives towards a South American country with his claim that it had stolen U.S. oil, land and other assets. Venezuela on Wednesday requested that the United Nations Security Council meet to discuss ongoing U.S. aggression against the country. And Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's supporters gathered in Caracas to denounce U.S. President Donald Trump's latest sanctions, which include a blockade of oil tankers aimed at cutting off the country's main source of revenue. Protesters filled a Plaza Bolivar with banners reading "Respect Venezuela," while officials urged unity against what they called violent threats. Oil buyers are already demanding steep discounts, and economists warn dollar and cryptocurrency supplies could shrink further, pressuring the exchange's rate and fueling price rises in a country where annual inflation is forecast to exceed 500%. And Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said that Australia will introduce wide-ranging reforms to curb on hate speech, days after the country's worst mass shooting in nearly 3 decades at a Jewish holiday event. Albanese said the government will seek to introduce legislation that makes it easier to charge people promoting hate speech and violence, as well as increased penalties and develop a regime for targeting organizations whose leaders engage in hate speech.
I'm announcing a significant number of additional actions to build on the plan. Firstly, the Attorney-General and Minister for Home Affairs will develop a package of legislative reforms to crack down on those who spread hate, division and radicalisation.
Well, the gunmen who killed 2 Brown University students remained at large on Wednesday, with no indication that authorities have grown closer to identifying the suspect. The lack of any identification has left residents in the area on edge, with some staying behind locked doors and keeping their children at home. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronaha said authorities are doing everything possible to resolve the situation, vowing that the gunman will be apprehended and urging the shooter to turn himself in.
Certainly, it would behoove everyone, including the shooter, to provide information to law enforcement and to the shooter to turn himself in. He will be caught, and it's just a matter of time before we catch him. And I believe that based on my experience, but also from watching the people in that command post and getting reports from where they're coming back out in the field. They know what they're doing, they're experienced, they're working hard. There's no lack of resources. Everyone's working really well together. And we're going to crack this case. And when we crack it, it's going to come open really quickly.
Well, the son of Hollywood director Rob Reiner made his first appearance in court on Wednesday. Rob has been charged with double murder in the stabbing deaths of his parents, but the arraignment was postponed for 3 weeks and he did not enter a plea. The 32-year-old is next expected to appear in court on January 7th for a formal assignment. If convicted, Reina could face life in prison without parole or the death penalty, although California does not routinely carry out capital punishment. Reina was arrested on Sunday after the bodies of his father and mother were discovered at their home in the upmarket Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. And Peru's Congress approved a one-year extension to a temporary permit program for small-scale miners amid ongoing protest that sought a longer time frame for miners to regularize their operations. The extension will run through the end of 2026. The government had previously opposed a bill that sought to extend the program known as Re-Info by 2 years. This is the fifth extension to the Re-Info permit since the program was introduced a little over a decade ago. The program covers small-scale informal miners who extract gold and copper and are allowed to operate thanks to these temporary permits. According to Peruvian police and industry sources, the temporary permits have also fostered a surge in illegal mining at a time when such precious metals are trading at record prices on the international markets. And Burundi has launched a humanitarian plan to manage a growing influx of refugees fleeing renewed violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as reception camps struggle with severe overcrowding. Burundi's Interior Minister said the main reception site at village Musenyi has exceeded capacity with more than 76,000 Congolese refugees registered. To ease congestion, nearly 13,000 people have been relocated to Busama in Ruigi province. The emergency plans prioritizes shelter, food assistance, healthcare and security. The surge in arrivals follows the recent seizure of the broader town of Uvira by M23 rebels earlier this month. And Gingerbread Lane, a winter wonderland made entirely of cookies, candy and frosting, has returned to New York City for its 32nd season. The model features 755 handcrafted gingerbread structures by baker John Lovitch. After the display, visitors will be able to take home a gingerbread house for free. And still to come on DD India Newshour. India's textile and apparel exports grow by 9.4% in November. FOC forces abandonment of India-South Africa 4th T20 in Lucknow. Series decider moved to Ahmedabad. And Christmas lights illuminate Mexico City's Zocalo, kicking off the festive season.
For sustainability to become more than just a statement, it needs to be practical and seamlessly fit into our lives.
If we are thinking about a net zero economy, and obviously automobile sector is at the center of this transformation. Instead of buying new vehicle, if I can retrofit and upgrade my existing vehicle, environmentally speaking, it is superior.
Zero waste means repair, reuse, analyze.
We realized that if women became involved in decision making and generated income, the whole family would benefit. Before, we needed a lot of manpower to handle the waste. But now, with the conveyor belt,
it converts the waste into electricity, powering 2 farms.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and on to some business news now. Warner Brothers has rejected Paramount Skydance's $108.4 billion hostile takeover offer, citing Paramount's inadequate financing assurances. Now, the Warner Brothers board said Paramount consistently misled shareholders by claiming its cash bid was fully backed by the Ellison family, led by Oracle CEO Larry Ellison. Paramount last week took its case directly to Warner Brothers shareholders, arguing that it has arranged airtight financing to support its bid with $41 billion in new equity assured by the Ellison family and Redbird Capital. The board also stressed that the Ellison family has refused to backstop the offer despite repeated requests. The rejection leaves the future of Warner Brothers ownership uncertain as both sides weigh their next step. And India's textile and apparel exports, including those of handicrafts, stood at $2,855.8 million in November 2025, registering a growth of 9.4% as compared to November 2024. The country's outbound shipments from the textile sector stood at $2,601.5 million in November 2024. In 2024-25, the overall size of the textile and apparel sector is estimated at USD 179 billion, comprising the domestic market of USD 142 billion and exports worth USD 37 billion. For the year 2025, the cumulative exports from January to November 2025 of textiles and apparel exports amounted to $32,560 million, reflecting an increase of 0.26% compared to the corresponding period of the previous year. It is noteworthy that exports of ready-made garments during the period January to November 2025 witnessed a growth of 3.6% over the corresponding period of the previous year. There was a growth of 6.1% during the same period for jute products. And Mexico City switched on its Christmas lighting in the Zocalo Central Plaza on Tuesday, drawing hundreds of families to the capital's main square to watch monumental light mosaics and LED displays. Visitors enjoyed music, decorations, and the lively holiday spirit that filled the heart of the city. Let's take a look. Between India and South Africa took an unexpected turn in Lucknow as the fourth T20 was abandoned without a ball being bowled due to dense fog and poor visibility. India, leading the series 2-1, missed the chance to clinch the contest early. The match officials conducted repeated inspections, but conditions did not improve, forcing the abandonment. The decider will now be played in Ahmedabad on December 19th, where India aims to secure the series and South Africa fights to level it. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Newshour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Newshour.